Today we're going to talk the unfolding civil war amongst MAGA, so-called Make America Great Again. Now, it's almost like every day there's some kind of new civil war, fake or actual. And it appears that just as what happened amongst the left, where you had a so-called civil war, and I'll explain why it's in quotes, because you had the kind of the corporate centrists against the more progressive, the more working class focused true leftists. What we are seeing amongst MAGA is kind of a similar situation with Elon Musk at the helm. People are remarking that Elon Musk is actually the real president in charge of America, and Donald Trump is really just taking orders. He's almost like dazzled. He's like astonished with Elon Musk's greatness, and just, it's almost like he's leaving some of the power to Elon Musk. And in the civil war regarding MAGA, you got Elon Musk, of course, pushing for H-1B visas, or the right to H-1B visas, which is basically allowing non-American, people from around the world immigrate to America based on their technical skills, their know-how, their experience, and of course their cultural background, which is in contrast to the more consumerist culture of America, which obviously that's very much of a generalist and a general statement, but obviously there's an argument to be made that people who do come on these visas based on their own experience and technical knowledge, they're more likely to work harder because, of course, their ability to stay in America and they subsequently have that salary, that lifestyle, that experience is incumbent. It's dependent on them working as hard as possible, working harder than the average American who already has all these things, granted to them. And so we are seeing a kind of a civil war between those kind of, the Elon Musks, the Vivek Ramaswamy, these people who themselves have benefited, or their family have benefited from these H-1B type visas, against the more nativist, the more nationalist type Americans who are less pragmatic, more dumber, less interested in the economy. But what we're seeing. However, this is really important to note. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy only care about the H-1B visas because they themselves benefit from it, right? And you're seeing the nativists; they themselves are against the H-1B visas because they themselves benefit from some sort of their nationalist identity. They benefit from seeing themselves as superior to everyone else in the world in their racial supremacist worldview. So in contrast to the civil war on the so-called left, this is a game of hypocrites, really. The hypocrites of the corporate sector, from Elon Musk and Ramaswamy to the nativists who only care about their own narcissistic worldview and a racist supremacist worldview. It's just people only in it for themselves, in it for their own self-interest. On the civil war that happened on the so-called left, you had the so-called liberal centrists who are more who simply in it for the power. They themselves are in power for the sake of power. They're very much adjacent to Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, very similar with a few aesthetic changes, but the true progressive left, the ones who actually care about the working class, they're in it for not just themselves but for other people too. It seems like at this stage in time, the only types of people who who consistently care about people other than themselves, whether it's Palestinians in the war of genocide being inflicted on them, whether it's climate change, whether you may not experience climate change to the extremes that are predicted, but future generations may. And and public transport, you may be born into riches, you may yourself be rich, but you also believe in these left-wing values that help ensure that everyone has universal health care, everyone has a roof over their heads. The only it seems. And of course, the way we interpret these values, which obviously requires a bit of discussion. I'm not necessarily saying that we need some communist utopia. That's not possible. But it appears that, look, 3/4 of the political discussion is engaged to and made by people who are only in it for themselves, or they have an arrogant worldview whereby they think that they know what's best, but they haven't really seen what's out there. They haven't seen new possibilities. And with Elon Musk in his civil war with MAGA, obviously on this issue he may be right, but he's only caring about the economy, and he's a benefactor of the economy, and he's in civil war with people like Laura Loomer, who's a nativist, who herself is a Zionist. And this is why when we get into these identity politics for the sake of identity politics, for the sake of just myself versus yourself, obviously, if you're gonna get into an argument, you're gonna be dumbed down by the identity politics of the right wing, which is why the right wing and its malignant form of politics, and how it sees everything through the viewpoint of one ethnicity being the pure God-given ethnicity, and others being not worthwhile, or not on the right path, or almost like they are NPCs. Obviously you're going to have the politics of mudslinging, and the centrists, the liberal centrists, even the so-called center left, soft left, they're affected by this all the way to the far right. And we need to think about politics based on values that not just benefit ourselves, but benefit others too. Because even from a selfish point of view, if you benefit others, we will also gain some of those, reap those benefits. If, for example, we care about climate change, but we want to reduce climate change, countries in the global north will have less asylum seekers coming in from the global south, from escaping from their own famines and scorched earth, kind of like climate change effects. It's almost as if we're interconnected, and quite literally we are. You just ask the physicists. But anyways, I'll be following this over time, and so please follow, please like, comment and subscribe. That'd be very much appreciated. And yeah, this is nothing new, the fight between the populists and the corporatists. But we need to think about something much bigger than that, which is about thinking about things other than our own individual self-interest, more about the greater good, and the greater moral case has to be made. Guys, stay tuned.